What's up, folks? It's your boy Davis on ConFreaksandGeeks.com, and we are back from Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Woo! And was totally hyped finally watching the series. It's been a long time waiting, and I wanted to discuss it. So, what better way to discuss it with some of my very good friends, Jere from the Star Trader. On the What's your website? The Star Trader.
TheStarTrader.net.
.net. There we go. Yeah. Awesome Star Wars stuff to check out on his page. And I got Kupkake Qutie with me, just a good friend that just loves Star Wars, a Star Wars nut, as if were. Let's just go with that. How y'all doing?
Pretty good. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. You know, this movie, we've been waiting for forever, and to finally see it, it was just fantastic. A breath of fresh air. I completely agree with a lot of people who on Rotten Tomatoes it's like what like a 90.
I think it was like a 95, 96 last
time. Yeah, something like that.
Pretty high. So I'm in that camp.
You are. Cool deal. Good deal. What about you, Jere? How you doing?
I was definitely overwhelmed, but in a good way. Like when it ended, when the credits started scrolling, my first reaction was like, woo, that was a great movie. I was just kind of in my seat, just like contemplating what just happened. Like it took a while for me to process. I woke up the next morning and I was still processing it.
Yeah, my status was numb, bawling, and speechless. I seriously cried.
In that particular order.
Yeah, really.
Oh man, that's cool. I mean, well, it's definitely a good movie. I definitely loved the surprises and stuff that movie did ensured us to that it came. I think the craziest things were the spots where you didn't know what was going to happen.
Yes.
And but we'll get into that here just right now. So, but before I start it, I just want to let everyone know that this is going to be a giant spoiler alert. So just make sure that if you haven't seen the movie and you see this already, it's on you, not on me.
Yeah.
You've been warned.
It's on you. So, so this is a giant spoiler alert. So, okay. So the Last Jedi itself. Overall, I thought that the pacing of it was a little bit too slow from it, because I think 2.5 hours is way too long. For the movie itself, in general, I think like there's a lot of spots that they could have done that they could have like maybe cut off on when it came to the lengths and to the length of it. But for the most part, it did a good job kind of doing progression of multiple different story aspects that was going on through the series, and then also kind of closing stories at the same time.
Yeah, it had a very unique storytelling, and I think Rian Johnson is really good at that. If you've seen his movies like Looper, or the one with the two brothers, I forget the name of the Brothers Bloom, really good at setting up a plot and putting in little details in the beginning and bringing it all forward in the end. I think that really shined in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I definitely agree with that. The biggest thing I kind of had I think that one of the biggest issues I really had, if any of it, was the what was it called? Was Poe's story, in my opinion. I kind of had an issue with the way they kind of portrayed him. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Because I love Poe, and I love how they did Poe.
I like Poe. Don't get me wrong. I definitely like Poe, but I kind of like the way that they were like saying you're a straight shooter, you're a crazy gunman Poe. Like you're all about being the hero and stuff like that. Yeah, he is. He definitely is, and this isn't new for the most part.
No.
But the way that they were like saying how important it was for him to learn it was just like wow, okay, why did you make this now the big focal point of his story to say, "Oh, come on"?
Because I think this movie is a great example of leadership. You had Leia, you had Poe, you had Luke, you had Fenn. I mean, you had all of these different leaders, and they all showed different traits.
Right.
And I think Poe's trait was like, yes, this is war. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it done now. But sometimes at war, you got to be more calculative. You've got to be like, hey, wait, well, hold up. You know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this right here, right now. Let's take a minute to think. And I think that they really explored that dynamic with Poe.
And that dynamic is good to explore, but wouldn't it have been easier, and this is kind of getting into the spoiler territory, wouldn't it have been just easier for Admiral Holdo to just let Poe know what she was doing?
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
It would have been a lot easier. It's like, okay, you know what, Poe? I know that you're a wild stallion and you'll do what you want to do, but we won't let you in on this secret. We're just going to put you on the outside and just and stay with it and live with it. Yeah, I know. That's probably the worst decision that you want to give a person.
Right.
Because, like, yeah, you're right. Because you kept the person in the dark. You kept the person in the dark throughout the whole... Like the whole thing throughout the whole scene, and it caused them to do a coup. Yeah. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what? You're right. That was my bad that we did this. But yeah, she didn't give out the full story of it. But that was on the admiral, the vice admiral.
Yeah.
But then, and that's also probably another plot point on what they wanted you to not like her. To be like the replacement of Leia, as well.
Good point.
You know, so like that. Since she wasn't Leia and she's not doing Leia's like tactics, they were like, "Wow, this is a girl we never even heard of, and she's trying to be the leader of the rebellion forces, the alliance."
Unless you read the books.
Unless you read the books, yes, you know. Yo, do you know her backstory more?
Yeah, she's like they kind of portrayed her in the Princess Leia of Alderaan book as like the Star Wars version of Luna Lovegood. Like, she always changes her hair color, she's always sporadic, she's like this super flexible, crazy in the mind kind of person as a kid, and she was like Leia's best friend. And they really did set up her well in the book. But in the span of like 40 years from like A New Hope, she really grew up. Like, there's hardly any resemblance of that Luna Lovegood character from the book and the movie.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it introduced the character, and it lets you know who they were and why they were kind of like, you know, may the force be with you, and they were kind of friends and
stuff.
Chummy
at the end, but you didn't know where that relationship was, like how far that relationship lasted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, okay, that's cool. But well, yeah, I don't know. I never really saw that. I never read the Leia book. I know there was a Leia book, so but overall, but like, so I mean, was there any scenes that you thought that was like, you know, that was kind of was a little offsetting in this movie or not?
Do you want to start out? I got one.
Like, what do you mean offsetting? Like, it just didn't
jive
with
click
me.
To you, yeah.
I will say this, and I've been saying this for quite some time. I did not like how they portrayed Luke at all. So his scenes at the very first part of the first third of the movie, did not like it.
Okay, let's just kind of let's go with where Luke is in this movie. I was completely surprised. Like, I mean, Luke's persona in this whole movie was completely off-putting.
Oh, yes, thank you.
I think it was completely off-putting because we were born around the times with the originals. But times is clearly changing. I know what Disney's is trying to do. They're trying to close those gaps of the original trilogies, which is fine. I mean, at the same time, it's understandable. Like, I mean, like in Doctor Who, they had to find a way to redo the whole sets of the Doctor's roles and stuff. But like, they have to do the same thing with Star Wars. I mean, some of these people. I mean, rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. I mean, people are dying. They're really old. Harrison Ford's 80 years old. You can't really expect them to kind of go to the same kind of the constant path of relying on the original story people. But what sucked about that, well, that being said, is that they made Luke so cynical in this. Like, I mean, from the history of Luke. This is like Luke Skywalker from the first movies, Luke Skywalker's from the books, Luke Skywalker's from all the comics. He was so optimistic. He was so gung-ho about being a Jedi, and he loved being a Jedi. And then in this one, because of the instance of seeing his own blood having a chance to be going to the dark side, and his guilt for the split second of him wanting to slash him down was really off-putting to me. I'm like, he just changed the dime of being like that Jedi, you know, the poster boy child of the whole deal, to being like, you know, this negative, cynical, like grimy person, you know.
And I was kind of playing with this idea with my girlfriend, or my wife now. Sorry.
Let's not forget that. You have that on tape.
Oh, she's gonna kill me now. But I was talking to my wife about this. It's like it seemed like it was Luke playing Mark Hamill. Like it was very Mark Hamill-y, in the way of his mannerisms, the way he was speaking, the words that he said, and how he just acted in general. He was more Mark Hamill than he was Luke Skywalker. That's at least the way I saw it, you know. Well, he was kind of the grumpy, kind of jokey kind of person, like see you around, kid. Yeah,
but like, okay, like I mean, he closed his connection to the Force for the longest of time, right? He, I mean, he didn't depend on it because he just thought that the Force was a bad thing because of what he thought of what that one instance was.
Yeah, but that's that one instance. I mean, this is just, to me, it went against the Luke Skywalker, like you said, that we grew up with. I mean, even the expanded universe books. And it's just completely different from everything that I knew he was. And even Mark Hamill himself said that he wasn't comfortable with the direction that the character was going. But I mean, as soon as he kind of figured out, you know, where it was going, he got on board with it. And I feel like you can kind of feel that hesitancy throughout the movie until the last part. Last part where he grows a pair and he's like, "Oh no, you're not gonna. We're not with this. I'm not doing this." Yeah. So I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I have a problem with, because Luke is my favorite Jedi, and to see him go like, "Oh well, you know what? This is the Last Jedi. I give up." I'm like, Luke, come on.
Is he any different from Obi-Wan though?
What?
Was the way Luke acted any different than what Obi-Wan did?
No, because so Obi-Wan was not necessarily exiled, but he had to put himself into. He was looking out. He was looking after Luke because he was putting his beliefs in him to becoming the next Jedi that's going to make the fall of the Empire. Obi-Wan has always been kind of cynical, but he wasn't cynical about the
he had
the
a
Jedi,
mission.
The Jedi Council
and
at all.
During that time, he was also learning how to better himself and become more in tune with the Force.
But he also had that guilt of being part in creating Darth Vader.
True.
So that's the parallel.
But that didn't be like, oh well, you know what, I'm gonna just
and he
give
didn't
up.
cut his power. He didn't cut his connection to the Force.
No, he didn't.
He became more in tune with it.
He became more stronger with the Force.
He was 100% like light side dude. Like that. I mean, even though that he was a loner, he wasn't. It wasn't because he was being he just wanted to be away from everybody.
Yeah.
He was doing that in the protection of Luke Skywalker.
Right.
So that in that essence, I think they were two totally separate. They were completely separate. He turned around on the fact that he's like, oh hey. He has a choice. He may turn dark. I'm gonna kill him. Wait, no. And he's like, oh shit. You know? He's like, oh shit. I got caught in the pants now. He was trying to talk. You should have talked his way out. That would have been a better way. It's like he would have said to Kylo. He's like, oh hey, stupid Jedi flies or something like that all over the place.
Right?
Yeah, it's like, whoa, some of these space bugs. I don't know where these are coming from.
Since you brought that up, I'm very curious about what you think about Kylo Ren as a villain. Because I'm not much of a fan of him, because I don't think he's a very strong villain as in the way of Darth Vader or Darth Sidious.
I thought he's done a lot. Well, I mean, like when you see him on the screen, I think he's done a lot more than what Vader did. Like theoretically, don't get me wrong. The Vader by far has done a shit ton more, but that's all hearsay from books and stuff that you've seen on the deeds that he did.
But he commanded the scenes, and Kylo Ren was like, kind of wimpy.
He was a whiny bitch.
He's very much like Darth Kitus in that respect, and I'm wondering if that's where the plot is trying to go. If this is a prequels to the beginning of Kylo Ren becoming something even more.
I think it's the start of him becoming the true seed of what his evil of the dark side of what he was originally supposed to be,
and not just a copy of Darth Vader.
Right. So I think he's going to usurp Darth Vader when it comes to that, because now he's not like Darth Vader was still the apprentice for the most part behind the Emperor. Now there's no one that's going to keep Kylo Ren in check on whatever he wants to do.
Right.
Like no one's going to compare to his power, in my opinion.
Right, and even Snoke was kind of putting him in. I was like, take that silly mask off, like he was kind of poking fun. I was like, you're above that, dude. And where he just smashes it. I think that was Kylo Ren kind of opening his eyes, like, I don't need to imitate anything. I can be myself. And I think at least that part of it was good development on Kylo's part, but he's still a whiny bitch about
He's
it.
still very much. He's like, I can see a little Anakin in him. I'm like, okay, you're really.
Oh, he did. He didn't. He didn't kill Leia. He wasn't him. It was the
Right.
people, it was the side people that did go for it.
And screw the trailer for like messing with their feelings.
Yeah.
You brought up Snoke, and I'm and a lot of people on Reddit or just in social media in general really upset that we don't understand. We don't know who Snoke is.
Good.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I think Snoke was like the red herring, like the MacGuffin. You're not supposed to know about him. It's
Die
about
man.
Kylo Ren. It's his glow up.
Right.
It's not about Snoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now we know that. I mean, but like we didn't know that before. Well, like we assumed that we knew that the bad guy that they announced was Snoke, and we assumed okay, Snoke was introduced in the first one. We barely got a little bit glimpse of him. Then we just assumed that throughout that whole process, he was going to be the bad guy
Right.
until the third part.
That's what we get for assuming.
Yeah, exactly. Like. I would say, and I was telling Jere this earlier, that the Last Jedi had just about the same amount of surprise scenes than what Empire did, because like we didn't like the turn of what the turn of how like we found out Luke's father and stuff was the big reveal, but then at the same time we saw someone claiming the throne of their own power to as well as finding out like the what they're planning on doing with the Jedi Council as
Right.
well. Like I mean, like they're like okay, cool. This is the last of the Jedi Order as we know it, but it's going to be a new kind of Jedi that's going to start growing from the ground up,
Right.
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
You hit a really good point that I was thinking about earlier. Is that they talked about Rey. They kind of cleaned up Rey's backstory. She's a nobody. She doesn't come from a long line of Jedi. She is not starting from when she was a little kid, as a Padawan and growing
I
up.
love that.
I love that too, and I love at the last scene where the little kid who has force powers, and I think that's really setting up the new class of Jedi.
Yeah.
They're going to be nobodies,
You're
just
right.
everyday people, not these Jedi who live in a temple or this long line of people who have high midi-chlorian account. It's just going to be everyday folks.
Yeah. I love the last part of that movie when they showed that with the kid with the force. I was thinking like, man, this looks like that one scene in Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh my God!
With
Why does
Turbo.
everybody got to bring up Breaking 2 Electric?
Can you not? I was saying big ups on Breaking 2 being in Star Wars.
Oh my gosh! The reference to that.
You
movie.
remember that?
Yes.
With Turbo and
Yes.
you know what we're talking about, Jere?
Yes.
Oh God, I love that with the little broom and he starts swinging. I was hoping he was gonna bust out doing some breakdancing at the end. That would be so money.
Oh my God.
So Jared, what was one of the like scenes that you were like a little off put on?
Honestly, I was really hoping more from Canto Bight, the casino planet, and out of everything, that just seemed the most out of place thing.
Yeah.
Like I read the Canto Bight book, and
there's a book of that.
Yeah, there's
Holy
a book.
Shit.
It came out a week before the movie came out, and I'm a big Star Wars book person, so they painted a beautiful picture of like this desert planet with a casino in the middle of it, an artificial ocean, and like I was so drawn into that, and I thought it was going to be such a great part of the story, only to learn that it was just kind of an accessory.
Yeah. Like
know.
the James Bond Casino Royale, we're going to throw that in there.
Right,
It makes sense to
we
me.
find out that there was no real purpose to that DJ character that everybody was hoping that there was, and I was really bummed out about that. So
Well, yeah, I mean, okay. I think the weird thing about all of that was like, and it was what's weird to me is that this was like they're like, hey, what if we do this if we do it this way, we have a chance to escape. They were so gung ho about that about that idea and that plot to that to get to that situation that I was like, oh, okay, so there's going to be a chance for it to work, but. When it was all said and done, they went through a planet. They went to a jail on that planet. They picked up a guy that didn't even know if he could or couldn't do it. to do all of that, and it fails. It's like, wow, this is bullshit. I mean, this is complete bullshit. And then you see Leia at the end of it, just like totally just shutting it down once and for all.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap, man! It's like, what was the point of all this? We just wasted an hour and 20 minutes of just developing story. You know.
To the credit of that mysterious DJ character, though, it did kind of lay the groundwork at the larger scheme of the galaxy, because he showed there isn't necessarily good or evil. Like the guy, I think it was a ship they stole from this random character.
Yeah.
He was selling weapons to both sides, right? And I think that really opened up Finn's eyes, because he was with the First Order at first and ends with the Resistance.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of maybe shifted his character development a little bit. So I enjoyed that part, but I don't know. Stutter guy just kind of got me.
That was it.
I just want to say something that I think one of the most jarring points for me was that the fact that Captain Phasma didn't. She just was.
Thank you.
She was there and then she was gone.
She was there for like 10 minutes. And
my God.
Total. Yeah, you're right. I
was like, wait, she's dying? She's dying? That's it?
All she did was give Finn a good zinger.
Hey, she might be alive. Who knows? I know she falls into a fire.
No.
Well, if Leia can come back from being blown out into space, maybe she can too.
I'll double check this, but I think there's going to be a 5th Captain Phasma issue, and it last left off with "to be continued in the Last Jedi." So we'll see.
Is that what it said in the comic?
Yeah, the issue 4 was it ended with Captain Phasma escaping Starkiller Base and getting with the First Order again, and at the last it's like "to be continued in the Last Jedi," and that's issue 4, and there's supposed to be 5 issues, so we'll see.
You see it from the we can't. Although the slickest, I think one of the slickest parts, I'd have to say, is when what's her name, Holdo? When Holdo, when Holdo decides to use the ship and goes in the light drive.
Dude.
The whole cinema was like silent. Everybody like.
That whole scene that you saw like cut in half and all that, I'm like, oh my god!
I know.
I want a screen cap of that. That's what I want. That would be a perfect wallpaper.
Yeah, that would be a perfect wallpaper. That just was stunning. It was beautiful.
It was.
What about the new characters that was introduced into it? Like, was it Rose? I think it was Rose.
I love Rose.
I love Rose too.
Rose is my girl.
Oh, really?
Rose is my girl. I love her.
Do you feel like they kind of progressed her character to like, fall in like the process of like her like loving Finn in one movie, less than a movie?
I don't know. Everything's fair in Love and War, You just
I liked
don't know.
it because she already had an admiration for him in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, a fan falling in love with like,
Justin Bieber.
It has to be Bieber.
It has to be
Bieber.
Does it?
No, okay.
But it kind of had the correlation. It's like, you're the Finn. You're the person who did this and this. So she already had that admiration kind of crush on him,
Yeah.
And after seeing it in person and seeing him go through the struggle of, should I escape? Should I do this? I think that kind of brought them closer together. So
one side, he wasn't even looking at it that way,
right.
that way at all, because like all he cared about was Rey, and he probably still cares about like to that point with Rey, like if she's going to be okay or if she's going to go through that like I hope everything is all straight with her on her side, but now you got a love triangle. What's gonna end up happening? It's a theoretical love triangle.
True.
I don't know where Rey stands, but I know like she loves him, he loves her. And
do we know that, or are they just friends?
No,
I think they're friends.
Maybe they're brothers and sisters, like Luke and
Although
Leia.
that part when Poe's like, "Hi, I'm Poe Dameron," and Ray is like, "Hi, I'm Ray." I'm like, "Huh." I can kind of see. I can kind of see that.
What you're introducing is fan fiction. Is what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Whatever.
That's what's gonna happen. So we're gonna see like a freaking giant post on like wiki
on my website. Is like, so here's my secret fan fiction.
I know, right?
Poe Ray.
It's like, here's my Poe Ray, my Ray Dameron story. That's what's gonna happen. Oh my god.
I love Rose because I think she is the quintessential rebel. She's got like the tragic backstory. She's got like a fire that can't be untamed. She's just all about the sacrifice. She's all about the fight, and I totally just like loved her for that.
It really did a good emphasis on her on growing her character up.
Yeah,
and then plus you saw the backstory, like some of the backstory of her sister getting killed in the with the bombing raid.
That was the first tear that was dropped.
It's like, come on,
I don't know you, but you got me.
It was like a really good callback to like the older World War II movies too.
Yeah, definitely.
So no, definitely no. That was a great. Yeah, she really progressed quite farther than anything I've seen in the past two movies. So
I think she had a lot more character than the Benicio del Toro's character.
Oh yeah,
who was just kind of in and kind of out, and I hated his stutter.
Yeah,
really? Was going on.
I thought it was cool.
No,
I think it was like a unique.
Trying.
Well, it was a unique trick. You know, it's like, well, he's a hacker, but he also has a stutter.
It just reminds me. It just reminds me.
How cute.
Because I have a stutter.
Toro's Usual Suspects kind of like the weird accent. You remember when he was in the Usual Suspects?
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of too much. Even though you understand him a little bit better in this one than you did in the other one, but still, I don't know. I could have done without the stutter too. But, yeah, for the most part,
that was jarring.
Yeah, but but what's cool though too is also I think the biggest cool things was like. They showed how powerful Jedis can be. Because, like the fact that he made a projection, an auto projection in the Force, planets away.
Right.
Yeah, and then when people were kind of mad at the ending of that, it sucks. He does die, like he dies from it. But I was like thinking of the planets away that he's doing this, and it wasn't like he just goes out in the field and starts projecting. He went inside the caves of the area, walked around as if he was there, talked to Leia in a full conversation,
have a full conversation,
C-3PO and all that stuff. Then goes in as if he's by himself. And then sits there pretending as if he's
mocking him and everything.
Completely powerful. Goes into a one-on-one fight that makes it look like he's dodging the lightsabers rather than reflecting off of it.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole time, and this has to be like 10 minutes or something. And then it's like, wow, he is still just meditating on that one porch. Where God knows where in that planet, and then he just disappears and stuff. So
I love that. That was beautiful.
Yeah. So like when they showed those kind of force, like they used instead of just the lightsaber fights, they projected force powers quite a bit in this one in different ways.
Yeah.
So I definitely like that. So then you saw how Leia used the force too, and then like you've never seen Leia truly use the force in a movie besides like the link that she had with Luke in the original movies,
where they didn't explicitly say that they were twins, but it's like, oh, I knew.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, we know. It's like you never saw her do a force push until now. I mean, she did technically a force pull.
And a lot of people are complaining about that online. They're complaining about that, like, oh my gosh, that was so cheesy. She wakes up, her eyeballs full space, her eyeballs are open, and she's navigating herself back to the ship.
Yeah, you're right, because that's not real.
For some of the diehard fans who are just devastated by Carrie Fisher's death, this was a way of being like, she's not dead yet. She's come back.
Yep.
There's a little bit of hope there. So, even though it was tragic and it was kind of silly, but
I love it with the naysayers that they're saying, "Oh yeah, that's not real." You're right. In the space fight with TIE fighters and other stuff, that's not real.
Right.
It's the thing.
It's in Star Trek.
It's like I call bullshit. That's not going to happen. Right. It's like, oh no, you're right. The other intergalactic wars between the other aliens and stuff that they've just fought. That's perfectly fine.
That's totally real. It's possible.
She's not human. She's Corellian. Right. So God knows what does that mean that they can't be. Yeah, perfect timing. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I loved that they showed all of that. So I was cool.
They even showed kind of how powerful Snoke was too, with his ability with the Force, being able to bridge Kylo's and Rey's mind together that way.
Right? Yeah,
that was pretty intense.
That was insane. I was like, wow, I didn't know you can do that. It's like, oh, dude, you're just like the operator. You just connect these two and have a collect call. Did you know that Did you know they used a real puppet for Yoda too? They didn't use that.
I noticed
CG.
that.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool.
He's like, you did that, y'all. Oh, so Jim Henson Studios did that, and I was like, sweet deal.
And they got Frank Oz back for it too.
Yeah,
that was a like cry number 4.
Yeah, really? You cried at Yoda?
Did you cry?
Because not only did they bring Yoda back, but they also like mimicked the music, Yoda's theme song, and John Williams actually mimicked a couple of themes from Empire Strikes Back. So it kind of brought, even though it wasn't like cookie cutter Empire, it kind of brought that like nostalgic feeling.
Right.
And then that Yoda theme was, and just Yoda being there was just like.
Yeah,
that's true. He really actually this is really the first like projection that he really was, besides Jedi, Because Jedi, I don't really consider it because I was at the end and that was them just like, oh, hey, yeah, they're still living together in the Force.
Yeah.
But it was him actually helping Luke out,
Right.
saying, just saying, hey, it's okay. These are just books. The Force, I mean, the Jedi is maybe dead. The Jedi, as we know it, is dying.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that the Jedi is dead completely. So
Right. I don't know if I saw...
they passed the torch.
Right, yeah. And I don't know if I saw this correctly, but my wife pointed out that when Rey was trying to open the drawers,
she had the books.
There were the books in there. Okay, that's what I.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was what I saw or not.
Yeah, she took the books.
Yeah, she took the books. She didn't take all of the books though.
Yoda didn't say anything.
Well, there wasn't that
what a
many
tricky
books.
little
It was
guy.
like 5 books.
Yeah, and
She only had
do you
space for
remember
3.
when he laughed, his little feet went?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Love
It's like,
that
come
part.
on, Yoda, Jesus. Yeah, I don't
Like,
know. This
bunk.
okay, so but overall, the movie, I like the movie. I mean, there were things that obviously
Yes,
could be better on
yes.
it. Don't by no doubts. And I'm pretty sure. And the big tough thing about this is that it's hard to say goodbye to some of these old names like Luke and Han and Leia. I mean Leia. I don't know what they're gonna do with
Right.
Leia next year. Because like Leia's still a very integral part of whatever this is going to be, you know. So like I just think that they need to show the torches being passed, and they're clearly trying to close all these old ones down.
Yeah.
But are they doing it the right way? I guess is where it comes down to. It's like I mean.
It's something that Yoda said, though, to Luke during that conversation about how their apprentices are merely what the masters, basically standing on the shoulders of their masters or
Yeah.
something. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how we kind of have to interpret it, because it's not going to be perfect any time. It's never going to be.
Right.
But we have to take it for what it is. And that's kind of a cop-out in some ways, but I really like that because it still keeps the magic of what Star Wars was in the beginning.
Yeah, I would
I
agree.
completely agree.
Yeah, so would if you rate this one, what is this in your top 3 or
Of all the movies,
Yeah,
I would say it's number 2.
Yeah.
yeah, me too. I said it's my second favorite.
I'm still battling my top 3. It's definitely in my top 3.
Your best one's Rogue One, isn't it?
No,
It's Rogue One.
No, it's not. I loved Rogue One, but that's like a solid 4 for me. But
You know what's funny? Rogue One is probably my second to last favorite.
oh yeah,
I do not like
Really?
it. I don't like it.
I love that movie.
I mean, I understand why people like it, and I just think that the story development is what is a really big flaw in that movie, because they didn't. I mean, I know, right? You're gonna talk about Rogue One, but just real quick, it didn't it made you not care for anyone except for her, the main girl, and then the robot. The robot was good because he was a good comic relief.
Yeah,
but
I
for
cried
the most
when he
part,
died.
yeah, for the most part, you didn't care about Donnie Yen's character. You didn't care about the other character, the person that was with Donnie Yen. Didn't care about the pilot.
I don't know. You and I saw a different movie because I care about everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't. Well, I'm talking about there was no true you didn't really get the in depth of anyone in that whole deal except for her. And it's the ragtag bunch was just when they died, I didn't shed a tear, or nor
That's
did
interesting.
I care.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem that I'm seeing, not just with Rogue One, but also with the Last Jedi and Force Awakens, is that we're in a world now where world building is such a huge thing, like the Lord of the Rings and the Star Wars and the Star Trek. We have a whole world to
People
go back
want
to
that.
reference, and we're so used to that now. And I think it's really hard for us to be like, you know what, maybe just some things are because they are.
Okay, but let's say theoretically, Rose died in this movie, and then she didn't make it in because she didn't make it when she saved Finn. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, I would care. I cared for her because they showed a little bit about her backstory of she lost her sister. She was a slave for these same people. That's why she hates these people. So what her drive is to be a part of the light side. So she wants to change that and have everyone to be free. So then when she died, even though she was a character that was just introduced in this movie, if it, like, you can clearly relate to her on like what is driving her to be doing what she's doing, the decisions that she's making and things like that. Like, you remember, like, when she got her trinket, she gave the trinket to what's
Right.
it as a
Payment?
as a payment, and she knew, and she sentimentally, she knows what she knew that it was like, it's very sentimental to her, but she did it anyways for the greater good. And that's like, you know, that like that those kind of pieces and stuff, you already know what kind of character she is, and then that's when I would be like, oh man, they killed her off in the same movie. It sucks. It really.
I almost thought they would have.
Yeah, you know, it's like it's like
It was
really
kind of
hurt.
like a fake out throughout the whole movie. Oh, they're dead, but they're
Seriously.
coming back. They're dead. And I think I was preparing us for Luke's death.
Yeah.
And that's why I think when Luke died, I wasn't sad when he died. It was like a very peaceful, like, kind of a sigh
It
of
was like
relief.
Yoda's death.
Right. It was like a sigh of relief.
Aw.
I think it was more of a sigh of relief because he didn't really, like, you know, he didn't do, I mean, like, he did do something, obviously, but he didn't, like, this wasn't the Luke that we
Yeah.
were accustomed of seeing.
I didn't
is
feel
what it
that
was.
struggle, the conflict.
Yeah,
you
there
know,
was no-
I didn't feel that.
There was no conflict because he was just cynical the whole time. That's why he was like, he's like, these people, what the hell are they doing in my planet? He was like, he's almost like Han in that
Yeah,
aspect.
he was.
Yeah, very cynical. So like, he was grizzled. That's what he was.
Yeah.
He was very grizzled. But yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We completely digressed. What was what was your top three? Like, this is your top three?
So my top three, in no specific order, are Empire, Last Jedi, and Return of the Jedi. And oh my god,
I like it funny. It's like,
That's funny because that's my top three too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't decide which one's number one. It's a fight between Empire and The Last Jedi, to be honest, and only because The Last Jedi turned everything that we know, well, not everything, a lot of stuff that we know about Star Wars on its head, and it really threw a different dynamic in it that I didn't expect.
It's
Yeah.
a big twist. Like even
Yeah.
though the I mean, if you should check online with the level of, like, you know, the positive and negatives, like, when it's said and done, this movie completely did change everything upside down to where you're going. Like, the rebels are incredibly limited now.
Yeah.
They're really in, like, low, like, in scarceness.
Galaxy in free fall.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, they don't have the hero of the previous runs. They now starting from scratch they're in a bad spot is what it comes down to. New Reign is the main bad guy, so there's a new leader for the First Order.
Right.
And I mean, it's like it's complete. This world is completely random to a point that's like, wow, I don't
love
even know.
that.
You know, I think that's what makes
I love
it cool.
it. But
And
a
it's
lot
not-
of people don't. A lot of people are like, a lot of the complaints was it's different from the Star Wars formula.
Yeah, could it be changed? Because, well, you know, it's funny, but you remember the complaint of the first of the Force Awakens? This is exactly the same movie.
And now they're complaining that it's not what they
Yeah.
expected.
Exactly.
So I mean, you really can't please anyone on what direction you're going to go. You just got to go with it. Is what it comes down to. And I think the direction that this is going to is future proofing it for a possible future generation. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why, and that's why I
Exactly.
think that's why they're doing what they're doing. It's like I said, they can't depend on
Right.
the original people because
Nope.
the original people are not going to probably be there
They're gonna be
to
prickly.
this extent. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you can't like if they decided to stay in that same realm of like Luke Skywalker being the hero.
Yeah.
Could you imagine anyone besides Mark Hamill being Luke Skywalker?
Not at all.
You cannot.
Well,
It's
Sebastian
impossible.
Shaw.
Oh, right?
Oh no, yeah. So no, who knows?
Yeah.
It
Well, you
was-
never know. There might be a Luke story, you know, how they're doing these standalones.
It wasn't just a good Star Wars movie, though. I think it was just a good movie in general. And
Yeah.
that's, I think, what separated it a lot,
It
too.
reminded me a lot at points, reminded me of just reading one of the old EU books, you know?
Yeah.
It really kind of had that cadence and that kind of type of storytelling. And I enjoyed it a lot more, maybe because it reminded me of the old books.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. But yeah, that's cool. All right, well, we're definitely gonna wrap this up. I know we're probably over 30 minutes right now, but that's cool. Hey, but thank you, Jared, thank you, Kuppy, for coming by. We're doing this review. Thanks for listening to it, or thanks for watching it. We're putting this on YouTube as well. If you want to see more, check out our website, confreaksandgeeks.com. Check out Jere's stuff, startrader.net.
Or my YouTube, The Star Trader. I got more stuff there going on right now.
No, just the website. No, I'm just yeah, that's cool. But yeah, check out all this awesome stuff. And if you want to see more, definitely just like and subscribe. So this is Davis signing off from CFG. Y'all stay freaky geeky.
May the Force be with you.